Hello all. In this video I wanted to talk about biracials in the media, erasure, what they call light-skinned saviors, things of that nature. Like Zendaya, Amanda Stenberg, Meghan Markle. Like people getting pissed about biracials being cast as black. With these situations, it's like, to me, I thought we were all black and that we all looked black and that everybody was mixed and all that jazz. Like racist Jim Crow laws, having racist Jim Crow laws imposed on us and on everybody. I was watching Cafe au lait Creole's channel. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, it was a couple of videos from a few weeks ago now, and she was saying that, and I'm like, that's so accurate. She was saying like how, you have a lot of African Americans who have like this Anglo black and white thinking. Like if you're mixed race, it's like, oh, you're just black and white people are just pure, you know what I mean? And yeah, white people will do that sort of thing. Sometimes, like you saw with Meghan Markle, like the whole situation with Meghan Markle, like they were trying to make her out to be darker and browner than she actually is and blacker, than she actually appears. Like I think there was like a German chocolate company, like they made a line of chocolates after Meghan Markle, and then allegedly, according to Meghan, there was a person or people a part of the royal establishment when Meghan was pregnant. They posed to her that they were concerned that, the baby might come out too brown. And I mean, like, Meghan is just about white passing. Like, she can pass as a white lady. And, from what I've seen, if a biracial is more white passing or white looking, usually that gets passed down to, if they have kids, it gets passed down to their kids, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, my point was, this kind of rigid white and black thinking, not much of an in-between, that sort of thing. But anyways, I made some lunch. I just made a kind of like Mediterranean inspired pasta salad. So yeah, I have some pasta in here, cucumber, tomato, olive, onion. I wanted red onion, but they didn't have any at the store, so there's white onion in here. And then feta cheese, and for the dressing I just did olive oil, lemon juice, and salt. And then I toasted up some Italian bread with olive oil, and then I just have a big jar of water. But yeah, this looks really tasty, so I'm gonna eat this up. Give this a try. I'm gonna try to get everything on my fork here. So tomato, cucumber, feta, olive, pasta. This is so good and very fresh. And yeah, these are garlic stuffed olives in here. I didn't know they had garlic in them, but yeah, there's some garlic in here as well. But yeah, I love Mediterranean food, and the bread, the Italian bread, the olive oil is like a perfect complement. But yeah, this is really good and really fresh. So, but yeah, I don't know. People will talk out of both sides of their face. some people will consider you just black and other people will consider you biracial. Some black people will literally try to force the black identity on you, and other black people will get offended if you try to claim black. So to me it's like whatever. Like, I was watching a video on Amanda Stenberg. It had to do with some music video she made that was woke. Now, I'm not woke, but the content creator who made the video, she was a black lady, like brown skin, and she was kind of like, she looked overweight, but yeah, she was like saying, like, she was like disparaging or belittling Amanda Stenberg, in my opinion. Like, she was like saying, you know, oh, it's always these people who do this, it's always these people who are the loudest. Like, she was trying to say, like, it was biracials, you know, that she was trying to say that it's biracials who are woke and the loudest about it, you know what I mean? And then she was saying something like, she was trying to be more black, and she was like, oh, and you know, it's these people, you know, they choose which way they want to go based on where they get the most validation. It's like this sort of thing, like these people who supposedly talk for us and supposedly know what our motives and intentions are, you know what I mean? I think some people are like persuaded to think a certain way. Like, you know, I think maybe they were raised by dark-skinned people and they're just raised to, you know, go along with whatever their narrative is. Some people feel like some sort of guilt or like are scared of offending people, so they just take what they think is the most prudent stance or viewpoint. And you know, I've seen this type of like behavior with white people as well, like more liberal leaning, more woke. Like, I've had it where white people will be like, you're black. Like, I don't feel like it's coming from a place of like racism or like, I don't want to be associated with you, you know, that sort of thing, at least not in this day and age. It's more of like they're just trying to take what they think is the most, you know, politically correct, for lack of a better term, the most politically correct stance, what they think is the most appropriate, you know, in the social climate, you know. So yeah, that's the sense that I get with that. People come up with all sorts of things, you know. Biracials are trying to oppress people or erase people. If you think that people who are a minority, who aren't even seen as the image of blackness, if you think they can oppress people, I don't think that's true. From everything that I've seen, darker skinned people are the majority. Darker skinned people write the script. When darker skinned people go against you and you are lighter skinned, then you can't win. There was also like, you know, the whole Cleopatra thing with the biracial actress playing Cleopatra on the Netflix special. You know, people saying Cleopatra was black because she was Egyptian, and Egypt is on the African continent. Like, thinking someone shares the same race as you because they're from the same continent is obviously not true. If you look at Asia, East Asians are very different from Indians, and Middle Easterners are very different from East Asians and Indians. North Africans were never classed as Negroid. North Africans are separate races from sub-Saharan Africans. Back in those times of ancient Egypt, if you look at history, the Mediterranean people are sometimes classed together as a type of people. They overlapped a lot. Saying a black presenting person should play an Italian or Greek or Middle Eastern or Arab person is absurd. But yeah, this idea that biracials are erasing fully black people in the media or whatever, were put on the pedestal, from what I've seen, black people participate in this. So it's like, why are you coming and complaining to me? More of what I've seen is black people wanting to claim, biracials and wanting to claim to have been, the ancient Egyptians, like they want to claim it as a representation of themselves. Like, I don't expect to go anywhere and get all the attention. Like, I didn't ask to be put on a pedestal. So why are you blaming me, a biracial person, for what other people are deciding to do? Really, the only time I've seen this is on a celebrity status, but I've seen darker skinned celebrities as well. So, to me it's like individuals are put on a pedestal sometimes. The image of blackness is actually on the darker end, so it never made sense to me that they would be worse off unless I were to see blackness as a bad thing, and I don't see blackness as a bad thing. All that is doing is creating a sense of shame in blackness, and I don't think there should be shame in blackness or dark skin. Like, I don't think people are viewing someone who hardly looks black as the main staple of black. More of what I've seen is like darker skinned people wanting to be seen as something better than lighter skin, and lighter skinned people are just supposed to take it, and the only way they are allies and are favored is if they put themselves under a bus and see themselves as inferior. And you must stay in that position in order to please these type of people because they're not comfortable being treated on an equal footing because they don't feel they are equal. So they have to boost themselves up to be above and be given extra attention so they feel like they're on the same level. If this is the case, then why do you expect mixed and light-skinned people to want to be associated with you when all you want to do is put them down and put yourself first? If mixed and lighter-skinned people do the same thing, then it's called self-hate and colorism. These type of people like to have the mentality that they see dark skin as inferior, basically, and they're trying to make up for it. So to me it's like, why do you want to see it that way and present dark skin as inferior? I think it's because they don't know how to not do that, so their best bet is to overboost themselves, basically, and say they're putting themselves first, when they're really not. They're just trying to compensate for an insecurity. But yeah, I see black people in the media all the time. I see dark-skinned people in the media all the time, to the point that you wouldn't even think that they're a minority. You would think that there may be like 50% of the population in the US. So yeah, I would say that black people are overrepresented. I see a lot of biracials in the media as well, so I'm not complaining, but yeah, I see dark skin, brown skin, biracials, quite often. So anyways, no, biracials do not get the image of blackness lighter skinned black people do not get the image of blackness, and it hurts them both ways because you have white racism and then you're not even visible. You're not understood to be black or the main image of black people. So, yeah, the racism that is done to you, nobody is even conscious of or thinks about because you're not even seen as the real image of black people. People act like they don't even see you as black, and then, they can get away with being racist. There's so many different things that can happen to lighter skinned people. There's a lot of people who don't look white, but people aren't really reading them as black. They're reading them as other races, and they get discriminated against in different ways due to that. I'd rather deal with reality than play pretend with myself. To me, it makes no sense to lie to myself and say I'm getting privilege over dark-skinned people because I'm half white and light-skinned. That I'm half white, I don't see it as a flex. I literally thought being biracial was weird when I was younger, being surrounded by white people. And this was before, I ever really thought about this stuff much, before I embraced my identity and accepted my identity. But yeah, I noticed that, as a biracial, it kind of gets hyped up, and I was like, oh. But you don't really know what people go through. Usually people put their best forth. The ambiguous phenotype that's come about, a lot of different people who kind of don't have that ambiguous phenotype get jealous of women with that phenotype. Like we've seen with Meghan Markle, a lot of people acting all weird toward her. A lot of people get jealous of women who are very hard to tell their race. Like Meghan Markle can say she is Italian and no one would know any different. I've seen white women get mad at women like this because they feel like women like Meghan can hide. Like they'll try to shame her, like, oh, she has plastic surgery, and oh, she's trying to look white, because they're upset at her looks, because with some makeup and a hair straightener, she looks like an attractive white woman. If I bought into the whole colorism hierarchy, then I would believe that I'm better than you. And of course I would be colorist because I would believe that I am better than you and have some privilege over you. I do not believe that I'm better than you because I am light-skinned and you are dark-skinned. I do not have that perception. Some people who are mixed may be perceived as Indian, Middle Eastern, Latina, or white as of facial features. It's not solely off of skin tone. You can be any skin tone and be perceived as black, fully black for that matter, like albinos. You will be perceived that way. Some people might think that you are mixed race. Other people will just think that you are black and light-skinned. So as far as skin tone, I do not believe that makes me better than you or signifies I have something over you. If I did, I would surely believe that I was better than you. The problem is, you guys are always trying to make up for something that isn't a bad thing because you think that dark skin is something that makes you less than, and you feel like you need a comeback when you do not need a comeback and you are already beautiful the way that you are. That's the problem. You have a bad mindset toward your dark skin when you do not need to have that mindset. You're making it sound like dark skin is a lesser trait. With these situations with people who have this sort of viewpoint, I think that you are jealous and angry at the idea of your perception of blackness and whiteness, and the idea that you see black people as inferior and white people as superior, and you see them as privileged simply for being white. It's a jealousy problem, and you are angry at white people because they are white and you feel like white people are superior to you, and then like biracials who are black and white are kind of just in the middle of this sort of thing. Lighter skinned people are not taught to put themselves first by society like a lot of people try to claim in these sorts of discussions. Usually they're taught they're not the right image of black people and they have this side job where they need to try to fix it. Lighter skinned people aren't taught to embrace their image. They're not taught to love what looks like them. You're not supposed to appreciate the opposite sex that looks like you. You're not supposed to want children that look like you. You will literally be called a colorist because you simply have a desire to have children that look like you, like a lot of other kinds of people do. But since you are a lighter skinned person, you don't deserve to love yourself, you don't deserve to appreciate your image. If you're really dealing with the reality of the situation, then you can understand the only people who are asked not to be self first are lighter skinned people. And yet we try to identify with an image that we will never have and we will never be, and somehow if we don't, something is wrong. Why continue to hold on to an image that no one really sees you as? They don't think of you, don't associate you with it, but you keep holding on to it. Black people having the idea that dark-skinned black people and dark-skinned black women are seen as aggressive and masculine, as unattractive, as unwanted, based off of skin tone, and then they have the perspective that light skin is wanted. They have the idea that light-skinned women are put forward, they are seen as better, they are seen as more ideal to the standard. They have the idea that darker skinned people, especially women, are just inferior, and then they act negatively towards darker skinned people and then prove the colorism idea right. I don't think everyone prefers dark skin, but I think some people do. So I think maybe you're just looking for negativity because you feel negativity on your skin tone. I think dark-skinned people sometimes internalize a situation going on with their dark skin and say they're not good enough, basically, If you are dark-skinned, if anyone could put the value on dark skin, it could be you, but you are going to devalue it automatically because you are the one devaluing yourself. And I'm not talking about all dark-skinned people, just, the ones with these kind of issues. Many of the time, people who act like light skin is better than dark skin are putting light-skinned women down because on the hierarchy of who is the lightest, it's going to be white women. So you're putting light-skinned women below white women, and a lot of the time below Asian, Middle Eastern, and Latino women as well. People talk about light-skinned women who benefit off of dark-skinned black men who disparage dark-skinned black women. I think the light-skinned people who buy into colorism want to believe in colorism so they can feel better than dark-skinned people. The mindset is of seeing light skin as better than dark skin and seeing dark skin in a negative view. I'm not saying just because you're attracted to black men that you're colorist, because I think people are attracted to what they are attracted to, and that doesn't mean that they hate themselves because they are attracted to black men. I'm talking about the mindset, lighter skinned women being lighter skinned, that agree with those black men that it is a better phenotype and then benefit from trying to put dark skinned women down. Light skinned people who play into colorism, what they are saying is dark skinned people are less than us. We're happy for what we got and that we didn't need to go through what you did. It's just something they make up in their mind to feel better about their position as a black person, mixed with black, whatever. Light skinned people who are colorist, trying to make up for being black, but it doesn't do them any good because people are still looking at you like you're black. What is really going on is inferiorization of themselves and how they see themselves negatively. They say colorism doesn't exist, but then try to pump themselves up over dark-skinned people and kind of prove the point that it does exist. I think they are of a lower self-esteem. That's why they end up using dark-skinned people's validation to feel better, because they don't feel better. White people and other races make them feel less than. When people are racist against black people, it's just that they don't like blackness. You have to understand, I don't think they're really looking at if someone is light-skinned or mixed. It's just blackness they are looking at. And people like to bring up, slavery. People like to bring up, look at slavery times. The mixed race, light-skinned slaves were treated better. They were kept in the house, that type of thing. And those times, really, the main kind of difference was that it was assumed that, a lot of the time that the slave owner was actually, the father. So they were treated in a better way by their actual father. You know what I mean? Whereas, nowadays it's not really like that. But yeah, I think those type of things can happen as well. I just don't think it is as prevalent as people think, People who are called light-skinned saviors or whatever, I don't consider them that, but they call them that. Those people are not what they're trying to be perceived as. They are people who are supposedly happy to have some sort of privilege over dark-skinned women, and dark-skinned women having some sort of inferiority complex. I don't have that perspective. I will never see dark-skinned black women as less than me. And there's also what they call the woke mentality. I don't feel like it's self-hate. It's more of a kind of guilt mindset and apprehension, wanting to fit in and be accepted. I see a lot with biracials, they seem all shy and timid, they aren't taught how to defend themselves, so they just go along with these sort of circumspect narratives. The whole thing with Cleopatra being black. Okay, so yeah, we all know by now that Cleopatra was not black. So she apparently was Southern European, possibly mixed ethnicity with Middle Eastern, Egyptian. So I think the actors they had play Cleopatra in the past were a good fit. I don't think they were trying to whitewash her or anything. They had Elizabeth Taylor play Cleopatra. So yeah, Elizabeth Taylor, I could see her you know, fitting in Italy or Greece. Not so much in Sweden. So yeah, I don't feel like they were trying to whitewash Cleopatra. You know, if you actually look at, I think she was one of the queens of Egypt in the early 20th century. Now, she wasn't Egyptian either. She was 1/4 Egyptian, and she was mixed with a few things. But yeah, she had a look very similar to Elizabeth Taylor. But my point is, you know, you'll have people make up this sort of stuff, and then, you know, they just want to run with it and expect people not to question it or look into it, you know, to find out that they are actually wrong and incorrect or whatever. Like, it's like they expect you not to do that. They expect you to just go along with what their narratives are.